But the only thing is that like we all have injuries, Devon, and he also experienced an injury, and he was smart enough to not to push it, not to rush it. You know, he took his time. But where you are hitting and where he had the problems is the same point.
I would personally be extremely embarrassed if I lost a match where I had hand control.
John had agreed to arm wrestle 102 matches in a row, with any challengers being able to participate freely. Eager contenders were able to bid on any of the spots in line to face John in a silent auction, with many of them trying to get an edge over John by finding the perfect spot in order to beat him. Face him too early, and John might be too fresh. Face him too late, and he might already have been beaten. Despite strategizing, one after the other fell before John Brzezink's mighty right arm that day, and nobody claimed the cash prize. Another, in my opinion, rather flagrant use of the move comes to us courtesy of Travis Bagent. He pulled the old javelin out of his bag of tricks in a match versus the notorious Michael Todd during the equally notorious, pseudo-cancelled WAL Finals of 2017. Although I think it's pretty obvious what Bagent was doing here, most of the online backlash went towards Michael Todd for his, in my opinion, pretty understandable outburst after the match. There have been others using this move, but in most cases, arm wrestlers in the public eye are smart enough to stay as far away from this one as they can. Who's that arm wrestler? It's Vitaly VS.
You talk a lot.
Hey. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Welcome to the Arm Historian Live. As always, let me get some music going and see who's in chat. There we go. Good one. Oh boy, how you doing? TOS Move, what's up, man? The Drew, how are you? And of course, the legendary Mr. Peanut, how you doing? It's gonna be a relatively short live stream today. We're gonna look at a couple of things that I've got lined up here. Let me turn down my own volume a bit. There we go. So we're gonna look at a couple of things here. One amongst them is East versus West 20. Gonna just take a general look at the event and what our thoughts are. And then of course also Georgia versus World Arm Wrestling. I'm very curious to know what you guys think about this one, because Georgia versus World is the next big thing coming up, I think. The next big event on the calendar. So I think those two are good topics. We can touch on some things that happened in the past few weeks or in the last week. But I don't think there's too much going on. Maybe, like I saw Schoolboy trained with Kirill. Was a pretty interesting video. But we can take a quick look at things that are going on just in general. There's a lot of videos coming out and talk about Vitaly, I think, kind of in a way to hype up his next match against Jerry Caderet, of course. But East versus West 20. But yeah, that's kind of what we're going to look at. And I suggest we start with Georgia versus the World. I think that's a good place to start. Also, do they even have an official website? Doesn't seem like they do, right? Only a Facebook page and TikTok. Hey Woody, thanks man. Appreciate it. What is that? So that's one of those new... I know I sound so old here, but that's one of those new things you can send through YouTube. Gifts or whatever they're called. Either way, I appreciate you, Phil. Hope you're doing well there. So yeah, this is like, I saw this the other day. I'll pause the music for a second, because I do think there's sound here, but this is the latest Georgia versus World kind of hype video. Now they say straight off the gate AI generated content, so I guess that's a good thing that they say that, but it's pretty obvious if you see it. Little super sticker funsies. Yeah, I'll call them that from now on. Good name. Thank you for it anyways, Phil. Appreciate it. What do you guys think of this? I want your honest opinions, you know? Just a hype video in general. Does it work? Is it good? And then, despite it being AI, or thanks to it being AI? What do you guys think, honestly? Because I know a lot of arm wrestling leagues have used AI in promotions. I know East vs West used some of it for some of their promotional imagery and stuff. And then Arm Gods, of course, famously uses quite a bit of AI in their promotional stuff. What do you guys think? Woody is not keen on AI advertisements. I don't know, I don't mind it per se. I don't really like it aesthetically, really. It just, there's something very uncanny about it still. But yeah, it's fun for its novelty, but going forward, I hope most leagues don't use any of that. And a step away from AI, I hope so. But yeah, that's what Georgia versus World is putting out there. This is a nice shot of where it's happening, I think, in Tbilisi. Yeah, I don't know. I think they've announced their entire lineup of matches. It should be here somewhere. Yeah, I think here we go. So this is their entire lineup of matches, right? Okay, a ton of them straight off the go, I don't really know. Muzafarov, I have no clue. He's facing Tobias Porong. Totiev versus Kostadinov might be a good match. Akimbo versus Samusha. So yeah, I did see they're putting in some like social media guys, right? Ryan Bowen is in here versus Bubenko. Don't know that guy. Who else is here like from social media? Akimbo, Bowen. Is that it? Yeah, I think kind of, right? Maybe some of these other guys, I don't really know, but... Yeah, so they did put in 2 kind of social media matches, but then... Kimbo versus Samusha on the left. That seems like a very unfair match, no? Georgia versus World, not WAF endorsed, allowing athletes to compete there. Issue, Georgia versus World is untested event, non-WADA compliant. WAF just announced Pro Panja League must begin drug testing for all bowlers. Is Georgia versus World next? Very interesting, because East versus West was WAF endorsed, right? I don't know if they still are, but they were, right? So, Does it mean that East versus West was also technically a tested event, or? Because say what you want about East versus West, but they're not a tested event, right? WAL had the best, but it's not easy flying to the athletes' homes to record all the necessary footage needed. I hope Georgia versus World is a good event, though. Competition is healthy, says Footy. Yeah, I think that's a very sane response. If you would have to pick a side, I mean. Nobody's forcing you to pick a side, you know. What is interesting, though, is it is being live streamed on Ryan Bowen's channel, right? And Ryan Bowen is also on the card. So yeah, somehow Mr. Bowen must have found his way into being a part of Georgia versus World. Which I don't know how big a deal that is or will be. I guess that remains to be seen. But like Phil Woody said, competition is healthy, so yeah. Not tested, of course, yeah. I didn't think it was, but since WAF and East versus West have notoriously kind of been hand in hand, I think it would make sense if the WF would expect the same things from East versus West that they're expecting from Georgia versus World. Or Pro Panja League. Because it's interesting that, like, why can WAF ask that of the Pro Panja League, but hasn't asked it yet of East versus West or Georgia versus West for Georgia versus World, for that matter? I wonder. The Drew says, I don't agree with the pay-per-view model for this first event under these circumstances. Doesn't sound like the best move. Yeah, so they're doing, what I heard was they're doing a, if you get a €20 or $20 membership to Ryan Bowen's channel on YouTube, you can watch the live stream there. That's what I heard. Maybe they're offering it through other avenues too, I don't know. But that's the one I heard. So yeah, I don't know if it's technically a pay-per-view if you get like all Ryan Bowen's members content on top of it. I don't know, maybe it's like a separate tier. Spinner says, didn't Ryan Bowen mention that Georgia versus World offered his wife/girlfriend a chance to arm wrestle, hence his reason for going there? I don't know. Is that also the reason why they're live streaming it on his channel? Or is that like fake news or something that I've just heard and wasn't true? The Drew says it is. Edwin Lindbergh says $20 is also quite nuts for the first ever card. Yeah, it is. It is quite a lot for your first ever event. Also the scope of this event, like how many matches are these? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 24. So yeah, 27 matches in total, plus the main card, I guess. So 28? Is that real? No. Must be 14, right? 14 matches. Still quite a lot, right? For a first event. How many did East versus West 1 have? Like 6 or something? I can't really remember. East versus West first was like $8, says Edwin. Yeah, I do think $20, quite a lot. Calvin Jones says, YouTube take what? 40%? A big chunk anyway. Yeah. Memberships. YouTube takes a lot for memberships. You'd be better off going with a platform like Patreon or something like that, I think. I think they take way less. But yeah, YouTube does take something like 40%, yeah. A lot. Depends on which country you're in and how much after, because for where I'm from, I have to pay a lot of extra taxes on top of it still afterwards and stuff like that, so yeah. YouTube takes a lot, and then your own country's taxes take a lot. In the end, you're not left with that much. Boss Royale says tax on what? Like YouTube revenue in general, but also membership. Like the money you get from memberships. Spinner says Bowen is an official broadcast partner and competitor for their arm wrestling event. Okay, so that's just what they're calling it, right? An official broadcast partner. I wonder how you become an official broadcast partner. I wonder how many channels are that. Are there other channels live streaming it, or what's the deal there? I wonder. Mr. Peanut says WAL production costs were stated by Kaplan to be over 300k an episode. No sponsorship was acquired to begin to cover that. He spent millions and closed by bank, no cash to be made. Yeah. It's quite weird that a seasoned businessman like Steve Kaplan gets involved with putting so much into arm wrestling or taking such a huge risk on it, but I guess he could afford to right by then, and must have been just a personal passion project kind of thing. Boss Royale says, I'm surprised WAL lasted as long as it did. Yeah, it started off in like mainly a tournament format, and then it evolved into a super match format, I think, like around 2017. Yeah. It's like the notorious, I think 2017 was like the notorious one, right? Where the finals just didn't happen. Well, not really. They put on some unofficial finals. Boss Royale says, whatever happened to Steve Kaplan, he was never the face of the company like Engin was for East vs. West. No, he wasn't. He was never like at the forefront necessarily, although he does appear in some promotional material and interviews here and there. But it's not like he was like a faceless investor or something. It definitely seemed like he was somewhat like also emotionally invested into the sport and not just financially, but that's just from what I can glean. I know when I put my video out on the WAL and also on, as an extension of that, Steve Kaplan, I know he kind of contacted me through, I can't remember who it was. I think through Eric Roussan or something, he kind of contacted me. Or like, he told Devin and then Devin told Eric, and then Eric told me to like say that he watched a video or something and found it interesting or something like that. But so he must still be following the sport, and like, I don't know, maybe he types his name into YouTube a lot, or someone just sent him the video. But yeah, so he is still, at least in my experience, still somewhat interested in the sport and keeping up with it. Yeah, I don't know what he went on to do after that. It's interesting, like I wonder what's Engin up to? Sometimes I just find myself wondering what's Engin doing right now. Boss Royale says, is it me? Or is the hype for East vs. West slowly dying down? It's like, I think that's part of like that kind of question I've had a lot in the last weeks. Like, do you think the hype around the sport and stuff is dying down? To a degree, maybe. Like, I'll quickly reiterate what I said last time. I think in general, there's not really less people interested in arm wrestling, I think. It's just that less people are creating stuff about arm wrestling and just less hype. I think people were a bit burnt out about the whole drama thing with Engin and East vs. West, and I don't know. Kind of was a distraction, right? And then this new league, and maybe just an oversaturation a little bit. But when I look at like my personal numbers for the channel, they're actually doing quite well. So I see other people's like new channels popping up and kind of videos, even in like the style of video I make, that are really good, that I've really enjoyed. And I've seen them popping up here and there, so I think maybe the content is still there. People are still watching arm wrestling content. It's just, I don't know, I think on the like the upper end of the hype scale, people are a little burned out, just in general. Like, we need to see a solid event with good names, good matches. That's not too long in my opinion, but yeah. This seems a little overproduced to me for a first event, but it could just be, I don't know. I think a lot of it is gonna come down to production value on this one, because for your very first event, I don't know who they're hiring to do it. But yeah, it's gonna be tough getting it right away, and then asking $20. That's a tough ask. Boss Royale says, in my opinion, the peak of East vs West was the Georgian event. What did Devin think of the documentary you made on him? Devin liked it. Like, I've made a couple of videos on Devin now, like one very big one and then a couple of follow-ups. Now he liked it. Devin in general likes my stuff as far as I can tell, in the interactions I've had with him. He's shared my stuff on multiple occasions, so. And he was also in my face reveal video, happy to do it, so. Devin, I think, likes my content for the most part. Maybe he disagrees with some things I've said about him or something, but I don't know. AMC cancelled all reality TV show programming as it was hemorrhaging cash. Sold all sports TV to ESPN for $60 million. That's when Game of Arms went to got cancelled. Interesting. Yeah, those are the kind of deep details that you can only get from Mr. Peanut and not from my videos on the subject. Boss Royale, what do you? Why do you say that? About the event, about East vs West, I think the Georgian event was good. The Georgian East vs West event was very good. I'll quickly go over these matches and like see which matches I'm excited about. I'm happy Sporong is pulling. I don't know if that's going to be a good match, but I'm happy he's pulling. Totiev versus Kostadinov. One of the better matches I've seen on here at a first glance. So I'm excited about that one. Both of these guys I love to see on the table. Akimbo versus Samusha. By the way, talking about like guys who've had opinions about stuff I made on them. Krasimir is also like was very happy with the video I made on him, and know that I know that he likes my stuff too. So, and not a really chill guy. He also helped me make the face reveal video. I also sent him some footage. Akimbo versus Samusha, I don't know, it seems like a complete mismatch. Samusha should dominate Akimbo, I think. Bowen versus Bubenko, don't know Bubenko. It seems like Bowen is pretty ingratiated with the event, so maybe he's picked an opponent that he thinks he can handle. Will be interesting. I like seeing Ryan Bowen on the table, honestly. I think he's one of those characters in the sport that will be with us for a very long time and will just become a part of arm wrestling. He'll have his ups and downs as far as public opinion goes, but I think for the most part we should kind of embrace Ryan Bowen as a community. I know that might be controversial in some circles, in some arm wrestling circles, but I think for the most part we should embrace Ryan Bowen. You guys that have seen my video on him already know my opinion, I think, but yeah, for what it's worth. Hey, Kingsmove Social Club, what's up? See you. May you have a moment to speak with us about our Lord and Savior Devin Larratt. You can always talk about Devin Larratt. Giving me a lot of views. That's for sure. Sylvester Stallone says every sport needs a villain. Bowen is a good villain. I agree. I agree. And I think Bowen has a lot of redeeming qualities too. I've like met the man in person and talked with him and stuff, even had some business agreement for a little while. And yeah, nothing bad really to say about that. Was a very friendly guy and accommodating and nice to me personally. Now, apart from that, I know he's done some things that I look at with kind of that I don't look at so positively. But I'm honest about them, what they are and what I think about it. Boss Royale says, I fear that East vs. West has passed its sell-by date, just like all its predecessors. Maybe. You know, I had a very similar thought the other day about like maybe it's like East vs. West just, you know, fizzling out right now. But it's so hard to say, right? Because they're still getting big matches. There's still people investing money into it, clearly. I think this event is going to tell us a lot, right? Because there's no Brian Shaw involvement as far as I'm aware of. There's, I think, a new team to some degree, because I can't imagine that some people involved with the event have kind of fallen out of grace and have supported maybe Engin or something, or didn't want anything to do anymore with East vs. West because Engin was kind of out. So maybe they've got a kind of a new team too. So I think it's gonna be a big test, the next East vs. West. I'm excited to see if it's gonna be good, because if they can keep the quality up like they did, like Brian Shaw's team kind of did, then I think they have a chance. Devon versus Michael Todd rematch was such a satisfying event. Talking about King of the Table. Yeah, I didn't mind King of the Table. Once again, I don't know like how cash positive they were. Were they profitable in any way? I kind of liked it too. Less matches and kind of some prestige matches, or like social media matches, however you want to call it. I didn't mind that at all. Most successful business plans are for amateur competitions, says Mr. Peanut. Cash events have different challenges. No sponsors, no ticket sales. Yeah, I can see that. I went to a competition, a tournament yesterday. It was 25 euros to enter. And that's just one category, one arm, so which I thought was quite steep, but that's the price, the going rate around here. You want to enter an arm wrestling tournament. So yeah, I could see that being profitable. They also had sponsors and stuff like that there. And I don't think, I think the winner of each category got like a 20 euro voucher that was like provided by one of the sponsors. So the venue was also in like a gym that was owned by the guys that were organizing it, so didn't have to pay anything extra. They already owned the venue. So potentially, yeah, quite profitable there. Rodney says, I think East vs. West made a huge mistake having 10 weeks between shows. They need to stay in the minds of the fans. Yeah, maybe that's also part of the reason that there's kind of been a lull in like the feeling of hype around arm wrestling in general lately. It's just been too long for a big event. Hard to say. I'm glad they got a new website up and running though, which is kind of still the old website, but maybe it would have been good if they kind of, I don't know, did like a makeover of some kind. But I guess it's functional, so good enough, right? No longer under attack. Let's take a look at all the matches. I've seen each and every one of them already, but I kinda forgot about some, I think. So yeah, we've got 3, 6, 9, 12 matches. So 2 less than Georgia versus World. Kazazuri, how you doing? Says they could easily make 2 events out of 1. Yeah, very true. If they just split, you mean if they just split the matches, lower the pay-per-view price and do them twice as frequently, might be good. Also, and I know Kazazuri is a big likes that idea a lot. We could potentially get kind of a top 8 situation going or something like that. I wouldn't be opposed to, I know the super match format is like tried and tested, but I wouldn't be opposed to some kind of new format just to shake things up and see if it actually works. Some kind of even a round robin situation, or like a battleground where it's like 2 athletes facing each other and then the 2 winners of those matches go up against each other on the same night. Something like that, like just try something new if you can do it live. I know things like that have been tried before, but I don't think they've been tried live a lot and at the caliber of pullers that East versus West can get. So I wouldn't mind something like that. Maybe it's too risky because you gotta invest in it once again, but honestly, I think it'd be pretty nice to see something like that, and it might like infuse a little excitement into the sport. Spinner says on the East vs West media site, I saw Coach Ray has been hired by Dexter. So hopefully we see positive changes. Yeah, I think that's a good move. I think Coach Ray in general, he's got a big social media following. He's putting out a ton of fresh content on his YouTube channel as well as his Instagram. He's been very productive lately. We're getting very involved, and it's just, I think, yeah, he's doing very well. So I think Coach Ray is a very good choice. I think they made a good move doing that. He knows arm wrestling, you know what I mean. WAF already died. There is no money there. Maybe. I don't know. It's crazy that it keeps happening, right? At the scope it does. I saw on their live stream were like several thousand people watching. Which, for the amount of effort they put into it, which is not a lot, in my opinion. I know it's like the scope that they do, it's not easy, but you could do a little more, right? At the very least, like have someone walking through the event or something that you can play like in between matches or in between like in down moments or something. I don't know. You can do a lot with it, right? But it's also very stiff and like official, and yeah. Seems like you're kind of afraid to step out of the box they're in. Or don't want to, you know, for whatever reason, not necessarily being afraid of it. Just don't see the point in it, because maybe the people that are, and I'm just speculating here, maybe the people that are in the positions of power, they're like where they're at right now, so why would it need to change? Because Azuri says, yeah, and have more main events because there's a lot of good pullers. Yeah, that's also true. I think that might be another good point, just making the event smaller in scope, getting less matches in there. Yeah, putting the focus on like 2 big matches or something. Like, how would you split this event? We've got 12 matches, right? So it would be 6 matches per event. So one of these two would be your headliners, right? You could also theme it, kind of. You can put like the super heavyweights in a separate event. Like the super heavyweights and the heavyweights in a separate event, and then all the rest in a separate event, something like that. I'm sure you could find interesting and creative ways to make 2 events out of this. Put like 1 or 2 title matches in there, not like 6, yeah. Also, I think, like, I know they're doing it right now, but in my head it's still kind of fuzzy. What is the official pipeline if you as an athlete want to get to an East versus West event? Like, what are the official ins? I know there's East versus West qualifying tournaments, but I've seen a lot of people winning them or doing very well at them and then not appear in East versus West. So I think, like, having that pipeline from complete amateur or like beginner in arm wrestling to top of the sport to East versus West, just having that very clearly in place. Like, if you win this event, you're guaranteed a match against this person at the next East versus West. Like, something like that, so people can like get invested in people that try to get there and other people that try to get there, you know? I think it would invigorate the sport on like a local level in tournaments, as well as like get people hyped about particular specific people that are being followed online that are trying to get into the big leagues, you know what I mean? By the way, do you all see a move more towards the US and away from Eastern Europe with other promotions taking that space? I have no clue, honestly. I don't know where arm wrestling is going, in which direction. Like, this is... I don't know, some of the main draws are from the US and some of the other main draws are from the East, right? I think there's certainly favorites right now from the East that are getting very popular to a level of and more than a lot of the North American guys. These two, I think Vitaly is more popular in general than Jerry Caderet right now, right? I think more people know of Vitaly than Jerry Caderet, especially if you include all the people that aren't even invested in arm wrestling but just know Vitaly from other things, right? Like his on TV appearance in that game show and stuff like that. Some levels, and then the Champions League is East versus West, yeah. Would be nice. Would be nice. Just got a message that you can't see all of the screen. Yeah, that's okay. I can change it a little bit so it's more visible for you guys. I think that's better, right? Jerry is facing Vitaly Laletin, by the way. For those of you that don't know or couldn't see the entire screen. What do you guys think of this match, by the way? I'd be interested to see what you guys think. I'm gonna start a quick poll because I've seen a lot online. I think my initial thought was, honestly, Vitaly would take it. Especially, I think he learned quite a bit from pulling against Dave Chafee, like when Dave went for the flop press, surprisingly. I know Dave won that match, but I think Vitaly must have learned this lesson, right? I'm gonna do a poll. Lagia says, let's be honest, Jerry 3-0, interesting. Is it Jerry Caderet or Vitaly Laletin? Get your votes in and let's see. turn the music up a little to create some tension. So close. Yeah, people seem kind of divided. That's also the vibe that I've gotten from like looking at messages online about the match. My camera is a little out of focus right now, but that's okay. Almost a dance move, right? Yeah, my initial instinct is Vitaly. But it seems people here have Jerry Caderet. Like I said, might be based on the Dave Chafee Vitaly match, I don't know. Yeah, I would think so, Lagia. I can actually make one. Let me do that. I'll make one in the community tab of my channel. And that'll be maybe a little more representative, because in the live poll we've got 7 votes right now. But that doesn't mean that I don't think Jerry can win, because I do think he can win, honestly. It's a possibility. So yeah, let's make one, shall we? Who do you have? I'll make it an image poll. 1 second. Yeah, I'm gonna put a poll up on my community tab. Feel free to vote there too if you want, but that's gonna give us a little more sample size. Right now the live vote is at 6 votes for Jerry Caderet and 2 for Vitaly. Robert has Jerry Caderet too. Okay. Spinner says, do arm wrestlers get rusty by not competing for a period? Not really. Maybe you're after a really long period. I couldn't say from personal experience, but having not arm wrestled in the past few years for like sometimes periods of a couple of weeks, you get kind of rusty in the sense that maybe you'll feel your inflammations coming up more quickly when pulling. But in general, no, I don't think so. Not in that small of a time frame. I don't think arm wrestlers get rusty, but maybe after like several years, maybe. Your body might get rusty, but I don't think your technique would be substantially worse if you haven't pulled for a couple of years. It's like, how long does it take for a runner to get back to his PB after some rest, I wonder. Gonna do an image poll. Yeah, it's 12 votes right now, with 8 of them for Jerry in the live poll. And Jerry isn't winning anything. On paper he might win, but it's Jerry. You know, his performances lately have been kind of up and down, right? Is it just that some people have figured out how to pull against Jerry? I don't know. Maybe just having more experience against Flopper's press? Spinner was thinking Jerry was not competing at this level. I was thinking of something like boxing. Yeah. Jerry isn't winning anything on paper. He might win. Already read that. Have you seen Vitaly Laletin? Yeah. Yeah, Vitaly Laletin should have this match normally. Especially if he wants to be in the conversation again to face Levan. Or Devon for that matter, to a degree. I think that match should happen though. Whether he wins or loses here. But what do you think? Would it take like some wins out of the sales of a Devon Vitaly match? Would Devon still want to pull Vitaly if Vitaly loses versus Jerry? Because I think if you ask the people how a Vitaly versus Devon match would go, I think most people would still have Devon. And I think if you ask the people how a Devon versus Jerry match would go, I think most people, like 95%, would have Devon, right? Versus Vitaly, probably like 60% or something. Maybe 70, depending on where you ask it. Yeah, drop a quick like on the live stream if you haven't already. Don't fear Spinner. I think if you refresh the page, you'll see that we have 20 likes on the live stream, so people are doing their jobs. Match needs to happen. Jerry is technically a top super heavyweight, yeah. I do agree. Plus, I always love seeing Jerry on the table, and just in general. Always entertaining to look at Jerry in his natural habitat. I wonder if Paul Italia will be returning at any point. Be in Jerry's corner. Will we get to see the return of Paul Italia? Has he already returned without me knowing? I personally would love to see more of such a colorful character as Paul Italia. I think we kind of need arm wrestling mafia involved again, right? Jerry's natural habitat is McDonald's. John was pissed Jerry couldn't pull properly. Since he was beefing with John after East versus West, I never heard of Jerry again. Yeah, they've had a couple of interesting moments, John and Jerry. I think maybe John doesn't quite agree with... Maybe he's changed his mind over the years, but maybe John doesn't quite agree with Jerry's philosophical approach to arm wrestling. Which is just throw your entire body behind your arm with reckless abandon, go inside and give up your wrist. Maybe pass the center line a couple times, I don't know. Maybe that's how John sees it. Come on, focus camera. There we go. Okay, so Vitaly is creeping up a little bit in the poll. I miss the whole Gen Italia era. Say what you want about Paul Italia, but I did genuinely like the guy. And in the brief personal interactions that we've had on Instagram, it seemed perfectly nice. Like a nice, friendly guy. 59% in favor of Jerry Catterett still. The loss to Nanya really messed him up. Do you think that's the... You think that's the reason he stepped out of the spotlight? I heard it was like Engin beef or something, right? That's why I'm like speculating on maybe he'll be coming back onto the scene now. That Engin kind of stepped away. That being said, I'm still like curious, where the fuck is Engin? You know what I mean? Where is he? What is he doing? I feel like at any moment we might have like Engin pop out with a brand new league of his own. Or is he like officially giving his support to Georgia versus World? Engin versus Italia would be awesome. I think Engin would take that pretty easily, but I'm guessing. Gotham Arm Wrestling says I've arm wrestled Italia twice. In a tournament he got a win on me, pulled him another time and he couldn't do anything. He was strong but has a small hand for the 200-pound class. Yeah, I think Paul Italia is fine arm wrestler probably. And he's probably strong, so could probably beat me. Maybe. Kingsmove Social Club would throw money at seeing Engin versus Paul Italia. For the novelty, I'd like to see it, but I don't think I would pay for that match. I'm gonna be honest with you. So, which of these matches are we most excited for, guys? Like, obviously, the Vitaly VS versus Jerry is a pretty good main event, I would say. I don't think a lot of people were necessarily waiting on this match, but it's still gonna be entertaining, right? I'm thinking back, like, did these guys ever face off before? Did they ever meet each other on the table before? I wonder. I don't think so. Like, to my knowledge, they haven't met on the table before, but I can't necessarily find any of their matches on YouTube here. Only like videos about the upcoming match, I think. And just older videos in general, but yeah, I don't think they faced. I'm pretty sure that means they also didn't do any after pulling, but I don't think Jerry does that much after pulling, right? At least not on camera. Maybe like after that one time versus John, maybe he decided he would never after pull again. I think I have that video on my Instagram. I think so. By the way, last live stream I actually finished the Voivoda one, the Frankenstein monster, ultimate arm wrestling monster. I actually finished our magnificent creation. Put it into a short and posted it on Instagram so people could admire the finished product, as you'll see here in a couple seconds. Richard Lepke's torso, Levan Saganashvili's forearms, Denis Plenkov's biceps, John's hands, Irakli's perfect legs, and to top it off, some Voivoda as the head and the mind. And then the wonderfully talented Al Omega Rich, aka Arm Wrestling Fan, which some of you might know from the stream here, drew this magnificent thing. It's just awesome. Someone said, Artem Taranenko said digitally it would be a badass shirt, and I'm kind of tempted to kind of make a digital render of this and discuss something with Al Omega Rich, try to work something out where we might sell a couple of those t-shirts or something. Not to make a profit or anything, but just if people would be interested in these t-shirts, then we could print a couple and do like a limited print run or something for the price it takes to make and ship them. Because I quite like it. I quite like it. Al Omega Rich, great artist. Has done a couple of renditions of live stream happenings and stuff like that, and some renditions of myself too. So yeah, great guy. I think Devon's King's move would trump Vitaly's King's move social club. So just like not having a lot of experience against something like a good King's mover, because who in the East has the best King's move, honestly? Is it Denis Iplenkov? Can you even call that a King's move? A lot of people wouldn't call that a King's move. AI animated too, says Jacobin. I might try that. Lat Rousseau says, I fell asleep by the time you were adding the head. Me too, honestly. Plus, like, Photoshop crashed out on me, so, yeah. Not a bad idea, says Verber. How are you doing, by the way, Verber? Verber went to the same tournament I went to yesterday. So did Kazazuri. Did quite a lot of side pulling. So all three of us are a little beat up now. There he is. Speak of the devil, arm wrestling fan. Like digitally render, as in like just clean it up in a digital format so we can put it on a t-shirt, you know what I mean? Like so it doesn't look like a paper cutout put on a t-shirt. Like maybe alter the colors a little so it pops out a little more, or I don't know. I'm just thinking. If you want to do it, by the way, on your own, you're of course free to do so. You own the right to this image after all, Al. But I do think it would be a good idea if one of us does it or both of us do it. Because I would make it for myself, you know, I would just have the t-shirt for myself anyways, so I might as well, or we might as well, or you might as well make some more for people, right? If they want it. Hey, all good at Winlenberg. Good night, rest of your night or day. Yeah, I'll be on for a couple more minutes. Let me quickly take a look if Neil Pickup is going live soon with the fix. I know last week he wasn't going live at the usual time, but I think he got into an accident. I still need to get back to Neil. I've talked to him briefly on Instagram, but I didn't get a chance to actually read his message and get back to him, so I saw that he was in some kind of accident 11 days ago. Let's see if he's actually got a live planned. Right now he doesn't, so might not be a fix, but yeah, we'll see. I would say Dennis's King's move is a face-up King's move. Kind of weird, but still counts. Yeah, that's fair. I think Dennis is more open top roll, occasionally dipping into full Kings, but I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that was all the bolts and the sutures. That was all Al Mega Rich, and that's like, yeah, adds a lot to it, in my opinion. The bolts too, like, yeah, love it. I thought you said you were doing another Frankenstein stream. Yeah, I definitely want to do it again at some point or another. Do something like that again. I'm thinking how I can kind of add a twist to it or something. Yeah, if you all got any ideas, like any of you, let me know for sure. I'd love to hear it. Will you need to pay royalties to the various owners of the body parts? Dear God, I hope not. I couldn't foresee that happening, right? Maybe we would have to remove their names and like use another name. That might be the case. I actually don't know. I think most of them wouldn't mind, but maybe. A car accident? I don't know, arm wrestling fan. I hope not. I don't think so. One for lower weight only. Yeah, might do something like that. It's like I get all these ideas for live streams, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I think this one worked. Would work better. Like most of those ideas would work better with more viewers to have like a more representative vote, and get more ideas in chat as we're going. But yeah, it definitely would work, and I'm definitely gonna do it again. I think something like the Fantasy League would work. I've been thinking about just doing more general, like an interview live stream. I know other people are doing those quite a lot. So I don't know if I would be able to add anything of value, but maybe I can kind of add my own arm historian twist to it, and yeah, in some kind of way make it into maybe a trivia game show or something, along with a guest that I'm also interviewing or something like that. I don't know. Maybe like a trivia game show about their own arm wrestling career. Maybe that's a decent idea. Like, what was your result in this tournament? Or who did you face in the last round of this tournament? Maybe. Something like that. But I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. Like, getting some interviews in there. I know some people would agree to do it. There's quite a few pullers that are very approachable and quite eager and happy to do interview live streams. So yeah, I might try something like that. Fantasy League will definitely be happening again at some point. I know we still have to finish one even. Yeah, Spinner, I'll see if I can get something on paper, like kind of think of a format and then think of a puller who actually wants to come on, who is somewhat recognizable, like a good recognizable name as the first kind of live episode. And then actually prepare all the questions, right, for that puller, which would require quite a bit of research and stuff like that. So, and then the question becomes, do I put that amount of effort into a video or the live stream? That's always kind of the issue I have with these things. Like, I need to allocate the time that I have into either making videos, preparing for live streams, all kinds of stuff, doing thumbnails or making a short for Instagram, or it all takes time. So I need to like decide for myself what to enjoy the most and what do the people want to see the most. And in general, that's my long form videos on my main channel, I think, right? So I try to give the most time to that endeavor, that part of it. And then all the other parts, if I feel like making a short or I think I have a good idea, I go do that, but I'm not consistent in it. I post on my Instagram, like sometimes with a couple of weeks in between. That reminds me, by the way, quite funny. I posted something on TikTok. Like, I'm not active on TikTok at all. I've posted a couple of things there, but I had like 2 followers or something for like my entire TikTok lifetime on a ARM historian. But right now, I'm happy to report we've climbed up to the full 60 followers. Just off one post. Like, look here, I don't know if you can see it well. Like 187 views, 274 views, 259 views, 282. It's all right. 473, one of the higher ones. Like, it's all around that mark. And then right here, 26.4k. Of course, a Devon video. But yeah, got me a couple of followers, so here we go on TikTok. Never thought I'd see the day when I'd be happy about a post I made on TikTok. But that's where we're at. Gotham Arm Wrestling says, here's a trivia bit. Which puller referred to John Brezink as Little Johnny and never lost to him? Never lost to him in an official super match? No, Cleve Dean lost to John. I don't know. I do know the wrestler, right? Scott Norton? Yeah, of course. And I think I even mentioned this in part 2 of my John Brezink series. Yeah. John Brezink Jr. is a spinner. Yeah. John Norton has featured quite extensively on the live streams of this channel. But I think they had like how many super matches? 2 or 3? Before Scott stepped out of the game. Right? They didn't face that many times, I think. But yeah, he did go undefeated, and then there's another one. There's a Russian too, right? The dude who went on to become a sumo wrestler? Wasn't he undefeated against John Brezink? I'm blanking on his name. I mentioned him like not that long ago. I talked about him with like a friend. But anyways, yeah. There's another guy who has an undefeated record against John, if I'm not mistaken. There's probably quite a few people who maybe pulled him once or something and then won coincidentally. Not that many though. Some good font would make it a fun shirt, says Arm Wrestling Fan. Yeah, we should speak about it in DMs or something if you have time, Arm Wrestling Fan. I'm down to making it with you or assisting you in any way that I can. If you want to make them, it's all good for me. Or if you don't want us to use this, that's totally fine too. And then I might make one. Like I might just make one for myself if you're okay with that, or like use the render we made on the live stream. I call it a render, but in reality, it's not really a render, right? Yeah, I think that about covers it for today, guys. There's a couple of other matches here I'm very excited about, but I'll definitely be talking about them in more depth during my official prediction live stream, which will be coming up in about 2 weeks, something like that. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that one. Otherwise, I'll be here same time, same place next Sunday I hope you join me then, when we'll probably be making our predictions for Georgia versus World, which will be happening on the 18th of October of this month. So yeah, that'll probably be next week that I'll do my prediction live stream for this one. We might talk about some other stuff too, because some of these I'll have no clue on. Maybe I'll do a little research beforehand. But yeah, that's something I'll be doing next week. Until then, thank you for joining me. It means a lot. A quick shout out to our wonderful members, of course. Thank you for the extra support there. I greatly appreciate it. I'm uploading a little more members content lately, so yeah, I'll try to keep you guys as happy as possible. I do appreciate it, even if you're just lurking, watching, just liking the stream, interacting in any way. Thank you. Keep your eyes peeled for another video coming up early next week. Until our next live stream, bye bye guys.